is Matthew Porter with another Drafthouse Diary for Monday, October 24th, 2022. And I'm here at an Alamo that's not one of my local Denver area Alamos. I'm actually in Ashburn, Virginia, with some time to kill before my flight home. So I decided to come by and see a movie at the Loudoun 1 Alamo. Now, it's in Northern Virginia, so unlike the Washington, D.C., the Northern Virginia Alamo locations are covered by my season pass. So another great thing about the season pass, if I'm on the road, I'm near an Alamo, I've got some time, I can pop in to see a movie. This theater, it was a nice theater. It's similar in style in some ways to the Aspen Grove Theater, my local Alamo in Colorado. Not the kind of simple, more boxy, rectangular theaters like the architecture of the Sloan's Lake and Westminster theaters that I'm familiar with. The staff was great, all very friendly, all very helpful. In fact, I talked to the staff even before I got here because I am traveling. I'm headed to the airport right after this, and that means I've got luggage with me. And I thought it might be odd somebody just rolling in with luggage to see a movie. So I called ahead, made sure that wasn't going to be a problem. They said, no problem. If there's an empty seat next to you, just stash your luggage there. As it turned out, I was seeing a 4 p.m. show. The theater was almost empty. There were maybe half a dozen of us in the largest theater in the place, largest auditorium, and it was not a problem at all. The movie that I saw was Black Adam, and one thing that was a disappointment was when I booked it, I found I had to pay a $1.99 surcharge. It was the Dolby Atmos surcharge, because the only screening at a time that I could make while I was here was in their Dolby Atmos theater, and like some other premium formats, there is a surcharge when you're using a season pass. And that's something where AMC's Stubbs A-List has a bit over the Alamo season pass, because I don't believe there is any such surcharge for special formats with the AMC Stubbs A-List. As I say, the staff was very good. The serving staff was great. The staff at the box office desk, my interactions with them, they were very friendly, very helpful. One thing that was a downside was that when I was trying to go into the theater, go into the movie when it was starting, they had their theater cleaning in progress sign out front, and they never removed it. So even when they were done, even when the countdown was over and the pre-show had started, I still waited for a while, figuring that when they were really done, they would come and get the sign. They never did. I went inside, looked around. Nope, they were done cleaning. They hadn't moved the sign. I presume eventually they did after I was in the theater. The pre-show was a fun combination of cartoons. I think there was a cartoon about a pyramid or an ancient tomb, lots of superhero-related things, and interestingly, a history of Shazam, which I liked because DC hasn't been, and Warner Brothers, they haven't been really playing up the fact that this is a Shazam movie. Black Adam is a version of Shazam. And another part of the pre-show, which was a lot of fun, was lots of stuff from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson during his professional wrestling years with WWF and WWE. And most of it was him singing from this montage that covered many years. You would have thought that the WWE was a concert promotion tour, because apparently Johnson did a whole lot of singing, both in the ring, between matches, and during promotional things, and seemed to have a lot of fun doing it. You can see, even in those early appearances in wrestling when he was getting started, he knew what show business was about. He knew how he could turn on the charm, and he had a lot of fun, and there was a lot that he did with that. Now, I wish I could say similar about the movie. The movie was not great. There were things about it that I liked. Some of it was visually beautiful. Some of the scenes were composed just incredibly beautifully, incredibly well framed and shot and colored. I think I might have preferred this movie better as an art book, because the story, eventually they got to the point where you could see the complexity of the story. It's a superhero movie without heroes, or it's a superhero movie that questions the idea of heroism and being defined as a hero, especially when you've got tremendous power to back that up in whatever way you choose. So we've got Dwayne Johnson's character, who eventually takes on the name Black Adam, who is an ancient champion who once saved the people of the city of Kahndaq, the kingdom of Kahndaq, from a demon-inspired evil king. And we've also got the Justice Society, led by Aldous Hodge as Hawkman and Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. And the Justice Society doesn't really seem to be good guys either, because they're all about, we have overwhelming power, and the moment there's anybody with tremendous amount of power who's using it and is not essentially under the Justice Society's control or license, he's a bad guy who needs to be put down. Even though the only appearances of this Teth Adam, Black Adam character, has been legends from more than 5,000 years ago when he saved this oppressed kingdom. And now he's apparently come back, and the only thing he's done is use force against the extremely violent organization called Intergang that has been occupying and oppressing Kahndaq for a generation. The Justice Society says that their job is to maintain global stability. That's a sinister thing, if you ask me. A lot of very, very bad situations can be described as stable. So apparently Intergang controlling Kahndaq for a generation, well, that was stable, so Justice Society didn't step in. Black Adam shows up and starts fighting against the bad guys. Well, suddenly that's not stable, and we need to do something about it. Eventually get around to asking those questions, but the fact that the movie made me ask these and doubt all of these things and question everybody in ways that weren't engaging, instead they were distracting. The movie could have done a better job of setting that up, and I don't need a movie to lay out its premise clearly ahead of time, but I don't need it to be filled with inconsistencies that seem accidental for so much of the movie. And what it all comes down to is that the movie it was fundamentally joyless in many ways. They had some jokes, they had some bits of levity, but they really did seem to be tacked on, to be forced. They brought the movie to a stop, and they were just kind of awkward, kind of cringy. It just wasn't fun, and no one seemed to be having fun. Not every movie has to be filled with jokes. I like superhero stories that take all their premises seriously, but this movie, there was nothing to lighten it. There was no one to root for so much of the movie, or very, very few people to really root for who were in a position to have any success without the assistance of these questionable, superpowered people on all sides. And you compare that to the joy that you saw in those clips from Dwayne Johnson's career with the WWE, or so many of Johnson's other roles. It was kind of a letdown, and it was sort of depressing to watch him in this role that took itself so seriously without much of a payoff. So, on my 1 to 4 star scale, Black Adam gets 1 star. It's a little while later. I'm at the airport ready to go home, and I just realized there's something else I need to say about the movie Black Adam. Buried inside that movie are at least 3, maybe 4 other movies that I'd like to see. There's the swords and sorcery and sandals epic of the history of Kahndaq that we see in the first 5 minutes of the movie. There's the story of the origins of the Justice Society and Dr. Fate and Hawkman and how they came to be what they are. There is even the story about Intergang and its occupation and control over Kahndaq. That seems like lazy, cartoonish, cyberpunk writing, right down to the name Intergang, for this international mercenary force that has ruled a country for more than 20 years. But at least it might have been a more interesting story than the one we got. It's hard for me to say that, though, because I think the story of Black Adam could have been a much more interesting story than we got in the movie. So trying one of these other story premises made by the same people would not necessarily have gotten us a better story. But I'm curious enough about those, not because I liked this movie so much I want more of its backstory. I'm just trying to think of ways that they could have used material that movie included and suggested in a better way than we got. Anyway, they just turned off the lights in this section, so back to me. As far as food, I had a Port City Porter that was very good beer, and I also had the Mozzarella sticks, which is something that the Alamo Drafthouse does well. I've had those at a few locations, and they do those well, so I do recommend those. Well, thanks very much for watching. It was fun to come here to try out a new Alamo halfway across the country. It was fun to share this with you. If you liked this video, please go ahead and click like, because it means other people will have an easier time finding it. If you want to hear more of these reviews, please click subscribe, and you'll be able to see my next Drafthouse Diary. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching. Enjoy your movies, and stay till the end of the credits.